America's Stonehenge is a prehistoric site in Salem, New Hampshire. The owner says the stone structures here date back 4,000 years. I got a call from his son, Kelsey. He's discovered a solar alignment, an example of archaeoastronomy that he wants me to see.
So, this is the Central Observatory, and this is what I was telling you about why we call America Stonehenge.
Just like at Stonehenge, someone placed standing stones, large vertical rocks, in a circle. The placement is key. When viewed from the center of the site, each standing stone lines up with the sun on important days of the year. The solstices, the longest and shortest days, the equinoxes, when the sun is on a level plane with the Earth's equator, and the cross-quarter days, which fall midway between them.
This is the summer solstice sunrise stone. So on summer solstice, the sun basically just rises right over there, right over the stone, just kind of comes at a diagonal, and then just kind of tracks across the sky. And then on the sunset, it just comes right over to...
Right over here?
Summer solstice sunset stone there.
You realize this says an awful lot about your site. Whoever was here is marking these important dates of the year, like many ancient cultures all over the world did. I've been seeing this a lot lately. It's called archaeoastronomy. It's how ancient cultures use the sun, moon, stars, and planets in their architecture and design. I saw archaeoastronomy in Georgia, where it connected Native Americans to the ancient Mayans. And I saw it in a cave in Oklahoma, where markings that are part of an equinox illumination may have been left by the Celts. The ancient practice of archaeoastronomy seems to tie many highly advanced cultures together, and it also seems to tie them to America. You know, I'm looking at that stone, and it looks very interesting. Is there any chance we could go down and take a look at that closer?
Sure.
Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting. Can you tell me a little bit specifically what happens with our alignment here?
Sure, yeah, well, basically what happens is on summer solstice, the sun will rise right about in the middle here and just kind of go at almost like a perpendicular to where the stone is, and just go right across and just kind of rise up diagonally.
Sky.
Well, we think actually originally probably was going to be up here. And, you know, over the course of time, it probably moved.
Okay, well, if it moved, that's very interesting because over time, the Earth's axis does shift.
Right.
You probably remember the earthquake in Japan recently. It was documented that the axis of the Earth actually moved about 8 centimeters.
Wow.
Now, that may not seem like a lot, but over time, over thousands of years, it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, to have the alignment move makes a lot of sense, and that's important because we can actually use that for dating. And so, as you know, the Earth's axis shifts, these alignments do shift, and that could indicate a significant length of time.
Well, you know, we actually had someone come up and check that out.
Really?
And they, from how far it's moved, they actually dated the site back to about 3,800 years ago.
3,800 years, okay. Well, I tell you what, that's really an important thing because there are many people that think that by using archaeoastronomy, that's actually a more accurate way of dating than carbon-14. So if that's the case, you've got a pretty ancient site here. Clearly, this isn't natural, a natural position. This was placed in the ground. It appears to have been quarried. It looks to me like it's actually been worked a little bit, and all the surfaces are definitely weathered, significantly weathered.
Right.
And definitely indicates time. This has been here for a long time.
Well, you know, also, we call this place America's Stonehenge, obviously, because of the standing stones. But there's another thing that I found that I think really directly ties the site into Stonehenge in England.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you've got time, I'd love to see it.
Sure, let's go.
Okay. Kelsey, let's see what you got here.
All right. Well, a few months ago, I was on Google Earth, and I was kind of drawing all the lines out on the alignments, just basically to see where they go. As I was drawing one out on the summer solstice sunrise alignment, yeah, I kept taking out further and further, and you know, I noticed one over Nova Scotia and Newfoundland.
Kind of a northeast direction.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as I took it over, I noticed I went right over in England. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So I kept zooming in further and further. And I noticed went through Stonehenge.
What?
It's going all the way over towards Stonehenge. Not only does it go just through Stonehenge, it actually goes right through one of the triathlons at Stonehenge.
Wait a minute. Through one of the triathlons at Stonehenge?
That's right.
From America's Stonehenge? Stonehenge is the most well-known megalithic site of all time. It's a sacred site, but no one knows who built it or exactly what it was used for. But maybe whoever built it built this too. That's amazing, but I see this line continues off to the east. Where does that go?
You're never gonna believe where that goes.
Let me get this straight. You're talking about, we're starting at America's Stonehenge in New Hampshire,
Right.
and this summer solstice line extends to Stonehenge in England.
It actually goes right through one of the triathlons.
That's amazing, but I see this line continues off to the east. Where does that go?
You're never gonna believe where that goes.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
All right.
So it starts going over towards the Mediterranean.
Yeah. You're kidding me.
Yep, it goes right through Beirut.
Are you sure that's right?
I double-checked it.
Beirut, Lebanon? Well, that's the ancient home of the Phoenicians. Okay, you realize what this means. Do you think there's a connection here between the Phoenicians and America's Stonehenge?
I think it's definitely possible.
Well, I tell you what, if you've got a connection here, this rewrites a huge chapter of American history. This isn't kidding around. The Phoenicians were based along the coastline of the Mediterranean in modern-day Lebanon. They were an ancient seafaring culture that emerged around 1200 BC. They were known for trading with distant lands. Maybe they even made it to America. They're also responsible for inventing the alphabet we use today. So, Kelsey, how did your family find out about America's Stonehenge?
Well, my grandfather actually heard about it on the radio when he was getting his haircut back in 1955. Yeah, afterwards he went up and checked the site out. He was just so intrigued by it, he just had to buy it. Well, it wasn't always called America's Stonehenge. And there was actually a book written back around 1907. It was refer to it as Paddy's Caves.
Who's Paddy?
He was one of the first people that was on site, and he has lived there for the 1700s and into the 1800s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys think this is an old site, but why couldn't he have built it?
Well, I can show you. This is it. This is where Paddy's house was.
Right in this area right here?
Yeah.
There's no way that Paddy built this. It just reeks of being really old.
Yeah.
And if it's old, it's important.
Some people think that he used the existing stone structures up in that area for animal pens.
He built those huge, massive walls for animals when he's got all these trees and he could have used wood.
That's what they think.
Well, I don't buy that one. I mean, look at the size of these rocks.
I wouldn't want to move them.
What's that big slab there? Was that like a roof?
We think that was most likely a roof slab for a chamber right there that collapsed.
You know what's interesting about rocks like that? Those actually serve as clocks as well and indicate something about the age of a structure. This has a genuine feel to it. And it's amazing. I mean, look at all this.
We do have one more thing that ties this site into the Phoenicians.
It turns out Kelsey's dad has a stone from the site. It has a carving on it, maybe some kind of ancient message.
Scott, this is the ball stone. It was found in 1964.
What does it say?
Well, it says, to Baal, on behalf of the Canaanites, this is dedicated.
The Canaanites, from the land of Canaan.
That's right.
That's what they used to call themselves, but everybody in the region called them the Phoenicians. They got all over the known world at that time, and many people believe that they made it over here to North America.
And there are many examples of possible Phoenician writings all the way from Maine down to Brazil.
Well, I tell you what, if this is indeed a Phoenician inscription, you've really got something important here.
Absolutely.
I mean, together with the alignment that you found, you're talking about an incredible site, an incredible discovery. And it really just blasts apart the history books and places Europeans here in North America around 3,500 years ago. Before I make any conclusions, I need to make sure this inscription is old and that the lines are man-made, not natural. By using a 3D microscope, I can see how deep the grooves go and if the inscription has been weathering for a long time. What I want to do is I want to focus on this groove right here, which I numbered as number 3. Groove number 3. And that corresponds to this groove right here. This is about 4,000 microns from the highest point down to the deepest point. This one clearly is a man-made groove. It looks like it here. It looks like it here. I can already tell many of these marks that make up the inscription could be centuries old, and there's no doubt they were deliberately made. Because it references the Canaanites, I have to consider the Phoenicians, but I need to know more.